There's a moment in life when everything stands still. You've been walking through this world weighed down by expectations, fears, and the voices of your enemies, both external and internal. These voices tell you that you're not enough, that you're not going to make it. They remind you of your failures, your doubts, your insecurities. And in these moments, it feels like the whole universe is conspiring against you. But here's the truth that only a few know: you have the power to silence your enemy in 30 seconds. And not just silence them, but to rise above them, to transcend their words, their judgments, and their energy. You are the chosen one. Yes, you. But being chosen doesn't mean that life becomes easy. It means that life has given you the opportunity to rise, to grow, to walk a path that few ever dare to walk. And part of that path is learning how to deal with the enemies that stand in your way. These enemies can take many forms: people who doubt you, circumstances that challenge you, or even your own thoughts. But here's the thing: none of them have real power over you unless you give it to them. So how do you silence your enemy in 30 seconds? It begins with the realization that the battle is not fought with words, nor with actions. The battle is fought within. Silence does not mean the absence of noise. Silence means the presence of peace. And when you find that peace within yourself, when you truly connect with the depth of your being, your enemies lose their power over you. Not because they have disappeared, but because their influence has vanished. Let me ask you something: have you ever truly listened to the silence within yourself? I don't mean the silence of an empty room or a quiet night. I mean the silence that lies beneath your thoughts, beneath your fears. That silence is the most powerful weapon you possess. In that silence, there is no room for doubt, no room for fear, no room for the voices of your enemies. In that silence, you are invincible.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
But that silence is not something you find outside of yourself. It's not something you can acquire or achieve. It's something that's already within you, waiting to be uncovered. The first step to silencing your enemy is to turn inward, to find that place within yourself where nothing can touch you. It's like standing in the eye of a storm. Everything around you may be chaotic, but at the center there is calm. And here's the secret: your enemy thrives on your reaction. They feed off your fear, your doubt, your anger. The more you react, the more power you give them. But when you respond with silence, true, inner silence, they have nothing to feed on. They are left powerless. In that moment, you shift the dynamic. You take back control. You become untouchable. Think about the last time someone attacked you, whether with words or actions. How did you respond? Did you react out of anger? Did you feel the need to defend yourself? Or did you retreat inward, allowing their words to wash over you without taking them in? That's where the real power lies, in your ability to remain centered, grounded, and at peace, no matter what is happening around you. Now, let's get practical. How do you reach this place of silence in the face of an enemy? How do you quiet the storm within 30 seconds? It starts with your breath. The breath is the bridge between your mind and your body. It's the tool that brings you back to the present moment, where your true power resides. When your enemy approaches, whether it's a person, a situation, or even a negative thought, take a deep breath. Feel the air filling your lungs, grounding you in the here and now. As you exhale, release the tension, the fear, the need to react. In that moment, you are reclaiming your power. In that moment, you are choosing not to give your energy to the enemy. You are choosing peace over conflict. And in doing so, you are silencing them, not with words, but with your presence. Let me ask you, how often do you react from a place of fear? How often do you allow your enemies, whether external or internal, to control your emotions, your actions, your energy? What would happen if, instead of reacting, you paused? If you took a deep breath and connected with the silence within yourself? When you master this, you will realize that your enemy was never outside of you. The true enemy has always been within your fear, your doubt, your need for validation. And once you silence that enemy, the external enemies lose their power. But don't mistake this for passivity. This isn't about ignoring your challenges or pretending that life is always easy. This is about mastering your response to life. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, no matter what anyone says or does, you have the ability to remain centered, grounded, and at peace. And when you operate from that place, no enemy can touch you. Now, here's where the real transformation begins. Once you've silenced your enemy in 30 seconds, you've only scratched the surface of your power. Because now you have the space, the mental, emotional, and spiritual space to truly rise. It's to step into your role as the chosen one. To walk a path that is free from the distractions of fear, doubt, and conflict. But let me warn you, this path is not for the faint of heart. It requires discipline. It requires self-awareness. It requires a commitment to peace, even in the face of chaos. And most importantly, it requires you to let go of the need to control everything around you. Because here's the truth: you cannot control your enemies, but you can always control your response to them. Think about that for a moment. How many times have you tried to change someone else's behavior, only to feel frustrated when they didn't respond the way you wanted them to? How many times have you allowed someone else's words or actions to dictate your mood, your energy, your peace of mind? What would happen if, instead of trying to control them, you focused on controlling yourself? On mastering your own mind, your own emotions, your own energy? This is the essence of true power. It's not about dominating others. It's about mastering yourself. It's about reaching a place where no matter what happens around you, you remain grounded in your own truth. So, the next time you encounter an enemy, whether it's a person, a situation, or even a thought, remember this: you have the power to silence them in 30 seconds. Not by fighting back, not by proving them wrong, but by turning inward. By finding the silence within yourself, the place where nothing can touch you. Take a deep breath, feel the power of your own presence, and in that moment, you will realize that your enemy's power was an illusion all along. Now that you've glimpsed the power of silence, let's take it deeper. Silencing your enemy in 30 seconds is not just a tactic, it's a gateway into mastering your inner world, and with it, mastering your life. Because here's the truth that few understand: the greatest battles you will ever face are not with the people around you. They are not with the circumstances life throws your way. The greatest battles are always within. And only when you've mastered the internal can you conquer the external. Let's talk about this inner world for a moment: your thoughts, your emotions, your fears, your dreams. Most people live their entire lives without ever fully understanding what's happening inside them. They react to life, thinking that life is happening to them. But the chosen ones, the few who truly understand, know that life is not happening to you. Life is happening through you. Every challenge, every victory, every moment of pain is a reflection of your internal state. Master that state, and you master your reality. But how do you do that? How do you gain control over something as intangible as your thoughts and emotions? It starts with awareness. Self-awareness is the first step to inner mastery. Most of us go through life on autopilot, reacting to situations without even realizing why we're reacting the way we are. We get angry, we get sad, we get anxious, and we think these emotions are caused by the outside world. But here's the truth: nothing in the external world can affect you unless you allow it to. Your emotions are not triggered by what happens to you, but by your interpretation of what happens to you. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly observed your thoughts? Not just felt them, not just reacted to them, but observed them, like a witness watching a stream flow by. Have you ever noticed how quickly your thoughts shift from one idea to the next, how they create stories, build narratives, and pull you into a whirlwind of emotions? The mind is like a river, constantly flowing, constantly changing. And most of us are swept away by its current without even realizing it. But here's the thing: you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind your thoughts. And when you learn to observe your mind instead of being controlled by it, you begin to reclaim your power. This is the key to silencing your enemy in 30 seconds. Because the real enemy is not the person standing in front of you. The real enemy is the chaotic mind that reacts to them. The next time you feel anger rising within you, pause. Don't react. Just observe. Watch the emotion arise within you like a wave building in the ocean. And just as quickly as it rises, it will fall. Because emotions, like thoughts, are temporary. They come and go. But the awareness behind them that's permanent, that's you. When you reach this level of awareness, something incredible happens. The external world begins to lose its grip on you. The words of your enemies no longer sting. The challenges you face no longer overwhelm you. Because you realize that nothing outside of you can affect the peace you've cultivated within. And in that moment, you become truly free. But this is not the end of the journey. Mastering the inner world is an ongoing process. It's a daily practice, a commitment to yourself. It's about taking responsibility for your own energy, your own emotions, your own thoughts. And this is where true power lies. Not in controlling others, but in controlling yourself. Let me ask you, how often do you surrender your power to the opinions of others? How often do you allow someone else's words or actions to dictate how you feel? What would happen if, instead of reacting, you paused? If you took a deep breath and remind yourself that you are the master of your own mind, your own energy? This is the path of the chosen one. It's not about external victories. It's about internal mastery. It's about walking through life with a sense of peace and confidence, knowing that no matter what happens, you are in control of yourself. And when you live from this place, when you operate from this inner mastery, something incredible begins to happen. The external world starts to align with your internal state. You see, the universe is like a mirror. It reflects back to you what you put out into the world. If you live in a state of fear, doubt, and chaos, that's what you'll experience externally. But if you live in a state of peace, confidence, and inner mastery, the world around you will begin to reflect that back to you. Opportunities will open up. Challenges will become easier to navigate. Relationships will improve. Not because the external world has changed, but because you have changed. Now, here's the deeper question. What would your life look like if you mastered your inner world? What if you could walk through life without reacting to the noise, the chaos, the distractions that constantly pull you away from your center? What if you could remain grounded no matter what happens around you? This is not just a hypothetical question. This is the reality that awaits you when you commit to mastering your inner world. And it begins with silence. It begins with learning to quiet the mind, to observe your thoughts without getting lost in them, to choose peace over reaction. But here's the challenge: the mind doesn't like to be quiet. It's constantly chattering, constantly pulling you in 1,000 different directions. And this is why so few people ever reach the level of inner mastery that we're talking about. It's not because they're not capable. It's because they've never learned to quiet the mind long enough to listen to the silence within. The mind is like a wild horse. If left unchecked, it will run in every direction, pulling you along with it. But with practice, with discipline, you can learn to tame the mind. You can learn to harness its power, to direct it where you want it to go, rather than being pulled along by its whims. This is what meditation is all about. It's not about sitting in silence for hours on end. It's about training the mind to be still, to be focused, to be present. And when you learn to do this, when you learn to quiet the mind, something incredible happens. You begin to hear the voice of your true self, the part of you that is always at peace, always grounded, always in control. This is the part of you that is invincible. This is the part of you that can silence your enemy in 30 seconds, not by fighting back, but by simply being still. So the next time you find yourself in conflict, whether with a person or with your own thoughts, remember this: you have the power to silence the noise. Not by reacting, not by fighting, but by turning inward. By mastering your mind, mastering your emotions, and choosing peace over chaos. This is the path of the chosen one. It's not an easy path. It requires discipline, commitment, and self-awareness. But the rewards are beyond anything you can imagine. Because when you master the inner world, the outer world becomes a reflection of your peace, your power, your mastery. Now that you've begun to understand the power of mastering your inner world, let's take this even further. Because once you gain control over your thoughts, your emotions, and your reactions, something extraordinary happens. You become invincible. And I don't mean invincible in the sense that nothing ever goes wrong in your life. I mean invincible in the sense that nothing external can shake your inner peace, your confidence, your sense of self. You see, most people live their lives at the mercy of the external world. They feel good when things go their way, and they feel terrible when things don't. They're constantly bouncing between highs and lows, depending on the circumstances around them. But what if you could stop that cycle? What if you could reach a place where your peace, your happiness, your sense of worth was no longer dependent on anything outside of you? This is what it means to become invincible. It's not about being immune to life's challenges. It's about reaching a place where no matter what happens, you remain grounded, you remain centered, you remain centered, you remain you. And when you reach that place, when you truly master your inner world, the external world begins to reflect that back to you in ways you couldn't have imagined. Let me explain. The universe operates on a principle of resonance. Whatever energy you put out into the world, that energy is reflected back to you. If you're constantly in a state of fear, doubt, and chaos, that's the kind of energy you'll attract into your life. You'll find yourself surrounded by people who drain your energy, by situations that increase your stress, by obstacles that seem impossible to overcome. But when you live in a state of peace, confidence, and inner mastery, the universe responds to that energy as well. Suddenly, the right people, the right opportunities, the right circumstances start to show up in your life. But here's the catch: none of this happens by accident. Your external world is always a reflection of your internal state. So if you want to change your life, if you want to silence the chaos around you and live from a place of peace and power, the transformation must begin within. Let me ask you something: how different would your life look if you operated from a place of inner mastery every day? How would your relationships change? How would your work, your health, your sense of purpose be transformed if you could remain grounded no matter what challenges life throws your way? This is not just a spiritual concept. This is a practical way of living. When you stop reacting to the noise of the world, when you stop letting other people's opinions, actions, and judgments dictate how you feel, you begin to create space. Space for clarity, space for growth, space for transformation. And in that space, you can begin to consciously shape your external reality. Think about it. How many times have you made decisions out of fear? How often have you chosen a path because you were afraid of what might happen if you didn't? These fear-based decisions create a cycle of limitation. You're constantly playing small, constantly protecting yourself from imagined threats, constantly reacting to life instead of creating it. But when you shift your energy, when you operate from a place of peace and confidence, the decisions you make come from a place of empowerment. You stop reacting to life and you start creating it. You stop trying to avoid failure and instead you move boldly towards success. You stop worrying about what other people think and you start living in alignment with your highest truth. That's the power of inner mastery. It's not about avoiding life's challenges. It's about rising above them. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, you have the strength, the wisdom, and the resilience to handle it. But here's where it gets even deeper. When you live from this place of inner mastery, you don't just transform your own life, you begin to transform the lives of those around you. Your energy, your presence, your peace becomes a source of inspiration for others. People are drawn to you, not because of what you say or what you do, but because of the energy you carry. You become a living example of what's possible when you silence the noise of the external world and tap into the infinite power within. Let me ask you, who in your life right now is being influenced by your energy? Whether you realize it or not, the energy you carry is affecting those around you. Are you bringing peace, confidence, and clarity into their lives? Or are you bringing fear, doubt, and chaos? What would happen if you made a conscious decision to master your inner world, not just for yourself, but for the people you care about? This is the path of the chosen one. It's not just about personal transformation. It's about realizing that your energy, your presence, your inner mastery has the power to uplift and transform the world around you. And this is how you silence your enemy, not by fighting back, not by proving them wrong, but by rising so high in your own truth, in your own power, that their words, their actions, their judgments no longer have any impact on you. Here's the truth that few understand: your enemy cannot defeat you if you've already mastered yourself. They can throw insults, they can create obstacles, they can try to tear you down. But when you operate from a place of inner mastery, none of it reaches you. You become untouchable. You become invincible. And this is what the 1% of people who truly understand this principle live by. They know that life's challenges are inevitable. They know that enemies will come and go. But they also know that the real battle is always within. And once you've mastered that battle, once you've silenced the chaos within your own mind, the external world falls into place. So what does this mean for you? It means that no matter where you are in your life right now, no matter what challenges you're facing, you have the power to rise above them. You have the power to silence your enemies, not by fighting back, but by mastering your inner world. You have the power to create a life of peace, confidence, and purpose, no matter what's happening around you. But this requires a commitment. It requires a decision to stop letting the external world dictate how you feel, how you act, how you think. It requires a decision to take full responsibility for your own energy, your own emotions, your own thoughts. And this is not a one-time decision. It's a daily practice. It's a moment-by-moment choice to return to your center, to return to the silence within. So, the next time you find yourself in conflict, whether with a person, a situation, or even your own thoughts, remember this: you have the power to silence the noise, not by reacting, not by fighting back, but by turning inward, by mastering your mind, mastering your emotions, and choosing peace over chaos. This is the path of the chosen one. It's not an easy path, but it's the path that leads to true freedom, true power, and true invincibility. Because when you've mastered your inner world, no enemy can defeat you.